Alright, what is up YouTube? The Mummy Dust here. So today we are going to be going over the Sinister Cup and some of my practice matches. So you may be here wondering, what is the Sinister Cup? Well, the Sylph Arena actually throws tournaments every month based on certain types. So with the next tournament being in October, they kind of went for, a spooky or sinister theme. So they only allow certain types, and then they have restrictions. So in this cup, they allow Ghost, Psychic, Steel, and Fighting type. No Dark types allowed, so no Sableye, no Spiritomb, stuff like that. No Mythicals, so no Defense Form Deoxys, no Mew, Skarmory, or Hypno. So those bans are kind of obvious. They're, pretty overpowered Pokemon, and it makes the cup a little more balanced. They do have people who go very deep into the meta-analysis and stuff. So we'll link the description below how you can kind of sign up for these cups and find one in your area. I highly recommend it. It's a ton of fun for me. So we're going to go into, the Sinister Cup rankings on the right. Alolan Marowak is number 1, Haunter's number 2, Steelix number 3, Bastiodon 4, Drifloon 5, Dusclops, and Cresselia, rounding out the top 7. These are just like an overall ranking, so like in the best case scenario. So it's not necessarily the best Pokemon, but Steelix, Alolan Marowak, Drifloon, you're gonna see a lot of those. So if you really want to look into doing the cup, get yourself an Alolan Marowak. Haunter, you don't necessarily need Shadow Ball. Drifloon is really amazing. They'll probably have some respawns for the Halloween event coming up like they did last year. So there are some options for you. If you want, go to PV Poke. I'll link that in the description as well. And you can kind of go from there. So in my first match, we're going to be going up against Skydosin. So his team is running a lot of Pokemon who are weak to Poliwrath, except for Claydol. So I lead with Poliwrath, and he leads Claydol. So he kind of tricked me there. I'm going to switch into Slowbro. It's kind of got, a little bit better matchup. Probably should have switched into Steelix because I did have a double shield. So, moving forward in the future, I'll probably use that. So on our teams, we're both running Poliwrath and Steelix, pretty much staples in the cup, and then he's running Dusclops, Claydol, Alolan Marowak, and Bastiodon, where I am running Drifloon, Slowbro, Bastiodon, and Gallade. So he hits me with the Shadow Punch, takes me out. So now I'm going to come in with Steelix, and it's kind of a little too late to kind of catch up at this point. So we're going to try. We got to make sure that we shield at least one Fire Punch so that Steelix does win this matchup. We're going to go ahead and Crunch. Let me know if you guys are liking the speed. I went to 1.5. I had a little bit of trouble keeping up with the 2.0 speed. So let me know in the comments below if you like the speed. So do beat the Dusclops. We have a Crunch saved up for what's coming in next, and it is Poliwrath. So we're going to switch to our Poliwrath and do a Mirror, and then in comes the Claydol. So I don't know if I could have stayed in and just tried to, do as much damage with the Steelix as possible against the Poliwrath. He did have one shield left, so it would have been very difficult to come back from. However, I could have possibly been able to defeat his Poliwrath with mine and had a very powered up Ice Punch ready to go for the Claydol. So looking back, you want to take from your losses, you want to learn from them as much as possible. So that you can, learn moving forward, because I actually do almost still end up winning this match. If I would have played it correctly, I might have been able to win. So, like I said, your losses are almost more important than your wins. So just pay attention. Watch your own videos. I highly recommend recording your video and going back and watching it. There are some things that I watched from the Safari Cup where I was like, wow, I did that? Why didn't I do this? So then you can, learn from it moving forward. So we're going to change up our lineup here a little bit. I do believe I'm liking this lineup. Steelix, Poliwrath, and a Confusion user, or Drifloon and Steelix and Poliwrath. There are some other things that I do. I will possibly get into those later. But for now, against this team, I feel like this is the best situation for me. So As you can see, my team is actually different. I forgot to change my Slowbro over. This is just a practice tournament. This isn't my actual tournament. So my Slowbro actually was not in my current lineup. I'm using Cresselia now. So trying different things out. You know, I have a long ways to go before I figure out exactly what I want to do. This cup is proving to be very, very difficult. So I want to get as much practice in as I can. There are a lot of low energy charge moves and high energy charge moves that Pokemon have. Kind of like Steelix with Crunch and Earthquake, where you can kind of, you know, is it going to be an Earthquake? Is it going to be a Crunch? You really have to count, make sure you know what's going on. So here I do have to double shield to win this situation, but he double shielded, so I'm perfectly okay with doing that. And Steelix is going to come out ahead, and then I'm going to have switch advantage, as well as I am going to have a Steelix to help deal with his next Pokemon. I was a little nervous there that the Claydol might get to another Earth Power, but fortunately for me, it didn't. So at this point, I am going to stay in and hit the Earthquake on the Poliwrath. It does do a ton of damage to the Poliwrath, so we're just going to go ahead and let our Steelix go down. Steelix did its job extremely well, taking out 1.5 Pokemon, as well as the 2 shields. So in comes my Slowbro, and it's going to be able to Confusion down this Poliwrath, probably before they had a chance to swap out. And then Dusclops, which at this point is pretty close matchup. Shadow Punch obviously going to do a lot of damage, but I do have Water Pulse. And then we can switch into the Poliwrath and finish off the Dusclops no problem, because nothing that Dusclops throws is really going to hurt Poliwrath at all. So we are able to come back and win game number 2. And then another thing that's really important when you're doing PvP, especially in the tournaments, is to try and stay level-headed after a loss. Realize what you did wrong and try and move forward. If you get tilted, which is a common term that I like to use, where you get really angry, it's not going to do you any favors. So you want to try and stay level-headed as possible, learn from your mistakes, say, you know, could I have won with that lineup if I played differently? Or do I need to change my lineup based on what he's using? So sometimes you do end up going into 3 matches, you'll see tendencies, you'll see something that they really like to use. And then sometimes your opponent will think, hey, I think they probably know I'm going to use that. So here in this situation, you want to count. So I got the Shadow Ball, and I'm going to Ominous Wind, because Ominous Wind will be able to take out the Marowak. And I know, since I did 5 hexes, this Marowak did 5 hexes and can be throwing a Shadow Ball. So go ahead and block the Shadow Ball. In comes Dusclops. We're going to go ahead and go for the Shadow Ball this time, thinking, or trying to hope that they think it's an Ominous Wind. Predicted it, swap out to Steelix and catch the Shadow Punch. So at this point, we're looking pretty good. We do have the 1 shield for the Fire Punch. All we have to do is make sure we don't get hit by 2 Fire Punches, and we'll be okay. So I'm going to shield the first one, because there's a high tendency that you're going to throw that Shadow Fire Punch first. And then here, CMP tie. So I don't even think we cared about charge move priority. So if you're not sure what charge move priority is, the person who selects use this party last actually gets to use a charge move first. In most situations, sometimes lag can change things, gets to use their charge move first if there is a tie. So if I hit Earthquake at the same time that person hit Power Up Punch, then that's what's going to happen. So we had the switch window come up. I was actually okay with switching to Drifloom in that situation if I had to. That way we didn't have to replay the match. But we are going to be able to out Poliwrath, his Poliwrath, and then the Dusclops is left. So we are going to be able to take this match best of 3, and I'm just going to go ahead and bubble it down. And I totally forgot about that Marowak that was still in the back. So we're going to use an Ice Punch on it, powered up. I probably should have just powered up again. So I totally forgot this Marowak was there. Man, I almost actually lost this match. But we're going to go ahead and switch into Drifloom to try and catch the Shadow Ball or whatever it is. and then we're going to bubble down the it's Bone Club, so it doesn't even matter. And then we're going to go ahead and hex down the Alolan Marowak. Oh no, I'm going too fast. Definitely a passenger. Alright, so now we're going to go into a different practice match. This was just an open, so I don't have our teams that we are using. My team is exactly the same, except for Cresselia switched for Slowbro at this point. Not sure exactly what my final team is going to be. I have to play around with everything. So we will see in the future. We're going to go ahead and wait here for Herodes to select their team. So I am in a bunch of chats where there are a bunch of people who PvP, and I've up to ultra friends with them. So if you're interested in doing that, there is, you can find those type of resources probably in your area, or if you go to the Go Stadium Discord, you can get put in a group with 17 people, and then they can either keep you with those 17 people, or you can do like tiered ranking. So if you keep beating those people, they'll pair you up against better people. It's a really good resource. It also tells you IVs and everything. So here we're leading Steelix into Haunter, which is an okay matchup, but he switches into Lucario, which is a terrible matchup for Steelix. So we're going to swap out here. We're going to go for fishing for the boost. We don't get it. At this point, I know that Lucario could be throwing a Shadow Ball, so this is kind of what I mean. People are referring to this as like the bait cup. I like to refer to it as the undertap cup, because you can undertap and gain an advantage, say if you're Drift Bloom mirroring, or if you're using Confusion users, things like that. So in comes his Haunter, and we are at 0 shields at this point, so we are in a very terrible situation. He's still got 2 shields. We're going to go ahead and try and get this Ominous Wind, and see, that's what I mean. I could have undertapped right there, which meant that instead of doing a fast move, I would have backed off and used the charge move. So I would have been in a much better situation. But we're going to bring in Steelix, and we're going to try and crunch this down. Steelix can actually survive a Shadow Ball from Haunter. It's not pretty, but it is definitely possible. So there it is. We do survive and don't get to the crunch. And now we're in a pretty terrible situation. Poliwrath, however, able to bubble down. And Driftbloom being the last Pokemon, we're just going to go for straight Ice Punches to try and knock this thing out before it can kill us. So, do we live from a Shadow Ball? Because here it comes. At this health, yes, we do. And just enough. There's the undertap. So you got to stop using your charge move, let the energy register, and then tap the Ice Punch, take out the Driftbloom. So we're going to go into game 2. That Haunter is an issue for my team, especially that it knows Shadow Ball, because it can do a ton of damage. So we're actually just going to switch things up. Like I said, I'm liking the lineup with Driftbloom, Poliwrath, and Steelix. Probably should have used Cresselia against the Haunter, because it would just like immediately just erase it, the Haunter being 4 times weak to Confusion. So we actually get lucky here, and we catch the Empoleon, which is a very good lead for Poliwrath. He's going to switch to Slowbro, so we do have to get out of there. And we're going to go into Driftbloom. We're going to throw some Ominous Winds, hoping to get that boost. Because if you get the boost, it's pretty much game over. At this point, we are going to shield this possible Ice Beam. And we're going to go ahead and hex down the Slowbro. Now we have a Shadow Ball or an Ominous Wind ready for whatever comes in. Also need to get better at realizing when I need to use which charge move. I do like Ominous Wind a lot because I'm really hoping for the boost. But I haven't been very lucky with that yet. It seems like my opponents always get it, and it tilts me. It makes me angry. So I don't know why I switched there, to be honest. And then I don't know why I threw the Ice Punch, because I really want to just get those bubbles powered up as much as possible. So here I'm gonna throw Power Up Punch this time. So note to self: throw Power Up Punch first, and then throw Ice Punch. So now my bubbles are powered. We're going to go ahead and take this Shadow Punch, and then we're going to bring in Steelix. Like I said, Steelix can survive a Shadow Ball. We're going to go ahead and let it go. And it's actually just a Shadow Punch, so it was a very, very good call there. In comes Empoleon with almost no health, and we're just going to crunch it down. And that's my video. So if you guys liked it, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. And check out Sinister Cup, link in the description below.